What is up, guys? It's your boy, and I'm back again with another banger. Anyway, today's video is something a little bit different than usual. I wanted to make this video, never really got around to doing it till just recently. So today I want to talk about what is, in my opinion, the most hit or miss draft of the 2010s. I'm going to be talking about the 2015 NBA draft. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now before we begin, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor. You should look at that. It's my channel. The YouTube channel you see just below you is great and posts solid quality content on a semi-regular basis. And by that I mean like every single month. It's getting bad. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never really miss another one of my uploads. Anyways, I'm sorry for that, guys. Let's get to the video. Now I know what you're saying. How can it be a hit or miss draft if it has people like Karl-Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, and D'Angelo Russell in it? Trust me, kids. I'll get into it. Anyways, coming into the draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves won the lottery with the best odds out of the 30 teams. To follow was the Lakers, the Sixers, the Knicks, and the Magic. They rounded out the top 5. Heading into the draft, scouts all had Kentucky standout Karl-Anthony Towns going first overall to the Wolves. Towns had a good year at Kentucky where he put up 10.3 points, 6.7 rebounds, and just over an assist a game in his one and only season with the Wildcats. Anyways, let's stop being the scout here and let's get going down to the order on the first 20 players selected in this draft and how they all panned out in the NBA. So the first overall pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves selected, you guessed it, Karl-Anthony Towns out of Kentucky. This is arguably the best player from this draft class. After being drafted, Cat has proven he has been a long-lasting place in this league and has proven to be one of the top centers in the NBA. There's not much to say here because Cat is definitely not a bust. He's, in my opinion, surpassed all expectations for himself. Anyways, with the second overall pick, the Los Angeles Lakers select D'Angelo Russell out of Ohio State University. Now, if you were to ask me about this pick a few years ago, like 2017, 2016, I would have called him a serious bust. D'Lo's first few seasons in the league were pretty mediocre with the Lakers, where he averaged 13 points per game and seemed to be unable to make that jump into being a superstar. That was until the Lakers shipped Russell to Brooklyn, where he absolutely went off in his first few seasons with the Nets. D'Lo averaged 21 points per game in 2018 en route to leading Brooklyn to a very surprising 8th seed playoff appearance. So now that we're in 2020, I will say that D'Lo is living up to the hype and really isn't much of a bust anymore. The third overall pick, the Philadelphia 76ers select Jahlil Okafor out of Duke. Oh my god. Where do I begin with this man? Alright, so Okafor was drafted to the Sixers and was really expected to be one of the top centers in the league in a few years' time. And in the first few seasons, that really looked like it was going to be the case. However, then came 2017. You see, Okafor always had a questionable personality, but you can forgive him for that because he'd always overshadowed on the court. However, in 2017, his career hit an utter standstill. In one incident, after losing a close one that night to the Celtics, Okafor went to a bar with a few of his friends. He had a bit too much to drink and began having an argument with a group of men in the bar. The situation escalated quickly with Okafor saying, quote-unquote, "We got money, you broke ass." I can't say that last word, but you know what I was going to say. Anyways, within minutes it turned into a fist fight. When someone tried leading Okafor to the car, one of the men yelled something Jahlil didn't like, and proceeded to fight some more. Anyways, I'm not going to get into Okafor's long history with the law, because I'd be here for a while. Anyways, let's keep it going here. So after 2017, Okafor never really got his career back on track and hasn't averaged more than 10 points since. With the fourth pick, the New York Knicks select Kristaps Porzingis out of Latvia. The Knicks selecting Kristaps angered fans of the franchise, and they tagged him as a bust for even stepped foot on an NBA court. Let's just say that Kristaps proved them wrong. He's developed himself into being a top power forward in the league and is surpassing lots of expectations that experts had for him. So, yeah, Kristaps isn't a bust, and now with the Mavericks, I could see him and Luka being a pretty good pair together. With the fifth pick, the Orlando Magic select Mario Hezonja out of FC Barcelona in Spain. This is where draft picks start to go downhill, and you'll begin to see in the next few picks why this draft class was so hit or miss. Mario's career in the NBA has been nothing short of a bust rating. He just couldn't find a place in the league, and he seemed to be out of his comfort zone playing for the Magic. When the Magic dealt him to New York, it was supposed to be a fresh start for him. However, even in a crumbling franchise like the Knicks, he just couldn't perform well. He currently plays limited minutes for the Portland Trail Blazers and still doesn't really look good at all. So therefore, Mario, yeah, you're a bust, my man. With the 6th pick, the Sacramento Kings select Willie Cauley-Stein out of Kentucky. Willie's career has been pretty rocky. After the first few seasons of mediocrity, he seemed to be getting it on track in 2017-2018, where he averaged 11 points and 12 points in those respected years. But just as he went up, he fell right back down when he got dealt to Golden State. Now playing for the Mavs, Willie Cauley-Stein doesn't look like he'll be getting his career on track anytime soon, and yeah, he's looking like a pretty big bust. With the 7th pick, the Denver Nuggets select Emmanuel Mudiay out of Guangdong? Okay, cool. Anyways, Emmanuel has always been a pretty obvious bust. However, things were looking good for him in New York. He averaged 14 points in 2018. Then was shipped to Utah, where once again Mudiay would fail to crack 10 points per game and would go back to where he was right at the beginning of his career. You knew this one was coming. With the 8th pick, the Detroit Pistons select Stanley Johnson out of Arizona. Oh boy, where do I begin with Stanley Johnson? You see, karma came back to bite poor Stanley because on draft night, he proclaimed himself as the quote-unquote best player in the draft. Jesus Christ, that did not turn out well. Anyways, Stanley has never cracked 10 points per game and is struggling to even receive a minute of playing time on the Raptors. Oh yeah, and he's also single-handedly made the entire Pistons fan base absolutely despise the kid, so yeah, he's a massive bust, arguably the biggest bust in this draft class. So he has that going for him. The 9th overall pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Frank Kaminsky out of Wisconsin. Frank has, like all the other busts, just not been able to get over the hump into being a star for the Hornets. However, this season with the Suns, he's looking decent. He's averaging 11 points per game. So maybe Frank can prove us all wrong and show us that true potential he's supposed to have on draft night. For right now, I am labeling him a bust. But for the future, it's not official. I could definitely change it. With the 10th pick, the Miami Heat select Justice Winslow out of Duke. Justice has been decent in his time in Miami. His career is averaging 9 points per game, pretty much secured as a bench player, really. However, after being shipped off to Memphis, maybe he could finally break out into a star. I mean, I guess only time will tell. With the 11th pick, the Indiana Pacers select Miles Turner out of Texas. Miles surprisingly ended up being one of the better players in this draft. He proved himself as a serious defensive anchor for the Pacers, and it just led the league in blocks a year ago. So Miles, he's not a bust. He's really proven himself as a top player in this draft class. So go get him, Miles. Go get that Defensive Player of the Year award. With the 12th pick, the Utah Jazz select Trey Lyles out of Kentucky. Trey is exactly the same story as most of these guys on the board. He just couldn't find a place where he could take off as a star. 2017, he was 0.1 points away from a 10-point per game season with the Nuggets. So that was a pretty surprising and promising season. After that, though, his points haven't stopped dropping, and he's currently pulling 6 points with the Spurs. With the 13th pick, the Phoenix Suns select Devin Booker out of Kentucky. 4 years ago, if you told me D-Book would turn out to be arguably the best player out of this draft class, I would laugh in your face. But here we are. D-Book has solidified his place as one of the league's best shooting guards. I mean, the kid is special. At the age of 20, he dropped 71 points in a game and hasn't slowed down since his first season in the league back in 2016. Devin Booker is the future of this league, and he is arguably the best player to come out of this draft class as the 13th pick. With the 14th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Cameron Payne out of Murray State. Cameron is one of the biggest busts of this draft class. After a decent rookie season with OKC, his career just hasn't gotten any better. He only averages 6 points per game in his entire career and is now fighting for a roster spot on a team that's falling apart like the Bulls. With the 15th pick, the Washington Wizards select Kelly Oubre. Out of Kansas. Kelly has had a pretty good career up to this point. He's slowly gotten better each season and is currently looking like a star in Phoenix, averaging 18 points per game. So, Kelly's not a bust. He's really good and is turning out to be a massive piece to help the Suns hopefully become good again one day. With the 16th pick, the Boston Celtics select Terry Rozier out of Louisville. Y'all remember the hype Terry got when he went off in the playoffs when Isaiah Thomas went down with an ankle injury? Yeah, that scary Terry hasn't done much at all since. However, he's apparently done enough to get a 3-year, $58 million contract with the Hornets. Jesus Christ, MJ, what are you doing? Anyways, yeah, Terry isn't very good and is currently fighting to keep his starting job over Devontae Graham, who was an undrafted free agent. So, things aren't looking good for Terry. With the 17th pick, the Milwaukee Bucks select Rashad Vaughn out of UNLV. Yeah, so you ever heard of this guy? Me neither. Rashad never amounted to much at all and only averaged 3 points per game in 139 total games played with the Bucks. In 2017 and 2018, Brooklyn and Orlando tried to salvage his career, but he could only average a point for the Magic in 5 games played. So he's out of the league currently and probably not going to get back into it anytime soon. With the 18th pick, the Houston Rockets select Sam Dekker out of Wisconsin. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Sam Dekker. Sam is a massive bust and really shouldn't give my time explaining to you how he is. In his career, Sam averaged 5 points per game, and the genuine highlight of his career was that time he nailed the ball off his nose when he slipped and fell on a fast break. There's nothing more I need to say really, but that was a pretty good Shaq and a Fool moment. With the 19th pick, the New York Knicks select Jerian Grant out of Notre Dame. Jerian is another prime example of a seriously lackluster career. Only averaging 6 points per game his entire career, Jerian has easily proven he was nowhere even close to worthy of the Knicks trading to get him on draft night. And he hasn't proven himself after that. He's been doing decent with the Thunder, but other than that, he hasn't been amounting to much. And finally, with the 20th pick in the 2015 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select DeLon Wright out of Utah. For this one, I'm conflicted. While only averaging 7 points per game in his career, DeLon has proven himself to be a decent piece for the Raptors, Grizzlies, and the Mavs. Was he worth the 20th pick? I'll let you decide, but in my opinion, probably not. But I don't think he's a total bust. He's a decent piece for them, and it really is solidifying themselves as possible contenders around the way. So in conclusion, I counted off about 14 busts in the first 20 picks. Yeah, as I said, this was a huge lackluster draft, and it really isn't remembered at all for the talent it's produced, excluding the 5 guys. Those guys were obviously D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, Kristaps Porzingis, Devin Booker, Kelly Oubre, and Miles Turner. Overall, this draft class should really be remembered for how hit or miss it was and should be told about for generations to come. Not really. But unless you want to tell your kids about Sam Dekker. That's a good story. Go right ahead on that one. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. I really did put a crap ton of time into editing this and putting this together, so if you could smash a like, it would be really appreciated. Also, subscribe. That's something you can do. Anyways, guys, peace out.
I'm rocking BVS watches, they feeding to take off. Growing up so fast, and they hate that I stay strong. My diamonds all flash, don't touch, boy, case closed. We let them hoes pass, you should know we don't chase those. I'm getting cash, they mad basic. New bag on a jag, I'm racing. 220 on my dash, you basic. Known for spending all this cash, they hate it. Flex too hard, hated on me till I